They made racial remarks. They made fun of somebody's glasses. They said somebody was pathetic.
Are you going to be okay? Probably not. I know I'm not going to be able to go back to Columbine. Ever. Two of my really good friends shot and killed people.
I was focused on Dan, and they picked his head up, and it was purple, and that's when I knew.
The names are out. This community now knows for whom they are bringing flowers, balloons, and cards.
15 people were killed, including the 2 gunmen.
Rachel had a real mischievous streak in her, and you could see it from the time she's born.
Dan was loved a lot. I mean, he was loved a lot.
Dad, his number one love was coaching.
Even if he was having a bad day, he would put himself aside and go do what needed to be done for somebody else.
Getting him into classes that were appropriate for him was always a struggle because he appeared very normal, and he was very normal, and he wanted to be normal.
Steven was a huge Star Wars fan. He could recite the lines from memory. He was great with younger kids, really goofy, just very kind.
She just wanted to smile, and just anybody that she knew, Cassie greeted with a huge smile and a hug and these bright eyes.
Isaiah was a little jokester, and he would just have me just laughing all the time, and he teased me quite a bit.
Matt was special, always in our hearts, and he was just an easy kid.
Lauren was our straight A student. She'd never made a B in her life, never missed a day at school, I don't think. Never any trouble. Always home by curfew, had great friends. We never had to worry about her.
And that just was John's nature, like washing the car. He washed, John asked him to wash the car, and he just went ahead and washed the other one. We didn't ask him. I mean, what teenagers do that?
The main thing I remember about Kelly is just the joy that she woke up with every day. I mean, she was the happiest little kid.
Daniel was a very shy, gentle kid, very intelligent. He had become a straight A student. He was the last person you'd expect to be willing to stand in front of other people to speak.
Corey, he always could sense when someone was in need of support or something, and if anything was happening that was embarrassing or uncomfortable for someone, he would do something funny to direct the attention to him.
Craig Scott survived the rampage by 2 fellow students. His teenage sister did not.
I didn't get to say goodbye to her. In fact, I didn't even say anything when she dropped me off at school. I just still have a lot of anger. And I was watching this movie, and it started to get real violent, and I started to have these flashbacks, and I turned to my brother, and I said, change the channel. And he said, why? And I snapped. I picked him up, and I carried him to the kitchen, and I slammed him on the kitchen floor, and I pulled out a kitchen knife, and I put it in front of his face, and I said, do you want to know what it feels like to almost lose your life? They said there's a N-word over here. Isaiah tried to back up. Isaiah didn't say anything. And they shot Isaiah.
He always, at school, had to endure being treated differently, you know, even though we say today, oh, that don't happen at the school, which is not true. Until we face the facts and correct them.
Every day is the 20th for me. I can't miss him any more than I do now. A whole lot of people saying, oh, you are healed. Well, maybe so, but not yet.
I was listening to the news coverage, and at one point I heard them mention that they were taking some students to the hospital, and one of the ones they mentioned was a 15-year-old boy who was shot. So of course the first thing I thought was, 15 years old, that's how old Daniel is. What if that's Daniel? Could that be my son? I saw parents walking out with children, And I just said to myself, I want to be one of them. I want to get this over with. I want to be one of those people. From the reports that we have, Eric Harris looked at Daniel and insulted him. I believe it was he called him Four Eyes because he wore glasses. And he fired a shot that went into Daniel's hand. Daniel fought back. He took the chair that was there and he pushed it towards Eric Harris. And for that, he paid with his life. Eric Harris fired one more time and shot him in the face. I just don't want to have other people lose children. And we lose way too many in this country. That's what this is all about.
Last time I heard my son's voice was when he walked out the front door on his way to school. He called out one word in the darkness, "Bye." When I talk about his death as a suicide, I'm not trying to downplay the viciousness he showed at the end of his life. I'm trying to understand how his suicidal thinking led to murder. He had experienced triggering events at the school that left him feeling debased and humiliated and mad. And he had a complicated friendship with a boy who shared his feelings of rage and alienation, and who was seriously disturbed, controlling, and homicidal. If love were enough to stop someone who was suicidal from hurting themselves, suicides would hardly ever happen. The tragic fact is that even the most vigilant and responsible of us may not be able to help. But for love's sake, we must never stop trying to know the unknowable.
It's been challenging to continue to share a story that is based on the Columbine tragedy, but it's worth it when I see lives that are being impacted.
I would have liked to think that Columbine was the last school shooting that should have ever happened, and the fact that it won't be scares me.
Kyle, Kelly, Dan, Matt, Corey, Stephen, Rachel, Daniel, John, Cassie, Isaiah, Dave, and my Lauren. We're here because we love them.